So today, the reason I'm playing my song Come Home is because we're going to talk about my home improvement project that's going on. I have waited 31 years to get this project going. So I think home is where your heart is. I do honestly believe that home should be a real expression of who you are inside, and it should be a place where you come and you feel your best self. And hey, since a lot of us work from home and a lot of us spend most of our time at home, it's really, really important that our home space feel comfortable, safe, beautiful, and reflect who we are as a person so we can be comfortable there. So no disrespect to Chip and Joanna Gaines over at Magnolia Network, but here's a shout out because I do love your show. But you know, in HGTV, I gotta tell you, program after program after program, they go into an older house. The very first thing, we got to take this wall out, we got to take that wall out, we got to open up this space, we got to have a huge kitchen, you know, one that's mammoth that takes 8,000 steps to go from here to there to here to there. And let me tell you, having filmed a show on WeTV in Bel Air, in one of those great big kitchens the size of most people's living rooms and dining rooms combined, I will tell you, it is not convenient to have a huge cavernous kitchen. It is convenient to have a kitchen that's well laid out and to be comfortable to move and work and flow in there with multiple people. And I will say this, I do like really nice high-end appliances. However, my 1878 house, when it was originally built, had a kitchen basically the size of a closet. It was hardly anything. Now, that's from one extreme to the other extreme. So what I have now is a galley kitchen. It's very much like a hallway. But guess what? I don't have to walk a lot of steps to get something done. Between the sink and the dishwasher, between the sink and the stove, between the stove and the oven, everything's within a few steps of each other. And I gotta tell you, I love that. I love it. I don't have to run myself to death. So by the time I'm done cooking, doing the dishes, I still have a lot of energy left to go do something fun instead of just stand in the kitchen and cook my ass off all day. So we're not gonna do a kitchen today. This program is going to be about a floor that I imported from France. And it's an antique floor. And if you go online and if you love tile, if you love antique tile, or you want something extremely different but very decorative for your house, and you're sick and tired of going down to Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, or your local tile place and getting the same looks, you know, the same white subway tile or gray subway tile, or maybe a lime green subway tile if you really want to get radical. You know, I would highly recommend and tell you to go over and consider some of the handmade American tiles that are available today here in the United States. There are places up around Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona that make fabulous, beautiful tiles, and you can find them in Old House Journal. But these tiles, if you go online, it's called the Antique Floor Company. And Philip Marr is the man who owns that company. He's English, Great Britain. But he lives in France with his wife, and they live in the most beautiful old farmhouse that they have updated. And when I say old, I mean old. It's probably 200 years old. It's exquisite. And he has made it his life's passion to go into buildings that they're tearing down that have antique tile flooring, and that is what I have. So a year ago, my journey started online, frustrated, looking for tile for 30 years, basically, and couldn't find anything that would look good in this house that would match the 1878 woodwork and decor that would be substantial and would blend in and look reasonable to the human eye. So I got online one night, very frustrated, and I was so excited when I hit the Antique Floor Company website. First of all, I couldn't believe it was real. And because I've been scammed in the past, I took extra precaution to quadruple check that this was a legitimate business and that Philip Marr was a real person, and I can vouch for it. So you can also look not only at the floor tiles that he has available, that he has reclaimed, but you can also see where he has sold those tiles in the United States and who owns them and what it looks like when the project is completed. So we will be posting this video up on my YouTube channel. I will also have some photographs that I'll post on other social media platforms. So check it out. And I would highly, highly recommend that if you want something timeless, to consider some French handmade antique tile. So the tile we're going to talk about today, and you're going to see in this video, is it's an antique ceramic floor tile. Each tile weighs 2.6 pounds, all right? And it's an unusual and a very rare tile. And I think this was made around 1860 or 1840s, somewhere in that time frame. And of course, the company has since gone out of business. But the company, the Antique Floor Company, is located in Côte d'Or, France. And if you go to antiquefloorcompany.com, you can, it's theantiquefloorcompany.com. You can get all the pertinent information. So basically, my tile was made by a company called Bosch Ferries, and they are from Maubeuge, France. So there's also documentation that you can research, and you can look up the companies. He has various company tiles available, and some of these are very historic. So the only other tile like this in existence today is in the French Museum it's called a Luminary Museum, and they talk about light and they talk about cameras, I believe, and lighting for photographs. But in the photographs that were shared with me by Philip, he educated me about the floor and how rare it is, and how rare it is to find a floor with 3 borders. 2 of the borders are like this wide, which you'll see, and then there's a middle tile that goes in there that's the bigger border. And I think it's roughly 7 inches square, roughly. And what's really nice about these tiles that you're not going to find at Home Depot and Lowe's and all of those great places is that there's subtle differences. Subtle differences in color and in pattern that just make the floor more endearing and authentic looking when you're doing an older home project. These are high-end ceramic production. And he wrote me a little note here about this. And here's what's interesting. When I know a lot of you may say, oh, well, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm really afraid of import, export, blah, blah, blah. It's really super heavy. Well, they take the tile, they put it on in a crate, and because it is big and because it is heavy, you got to send it freight. So it goes on a freighter. So they float it over the ocean. So it took from January of last year to April to float the thing over here And then because of COVID and all the trucking problems and shortages of labor, you know, truck drivers because of the pandemic, it took another month to get it here because they just needed drivers and they needed to, you know, figure out what the hell's going on with this pandemic. So anyway, it came, it was delivered and stashed right in my garage. And I'm really glad because the thing is super heavy. And just to give you an idea, so each tile weighs 2.6 pounds. And just on the main floor tiles, there are 470 of those. Then there's 80 large border tiles, 160 smaller border tiles, 5 corners, 6 more larger corners. So we've got quite a bit of weight out there. And of course, when you take delivery of something like that, you gotta have a nice big space to put it in. So we just took the forklift that they brought with, they downloaded it, drove it up the driveway, popped it in the garage. Now, if you have a question about import, export, all this kind of stuff, Philip works with a very good freighting company. They can ship anywhere in the world. They are very fair, they're very honest people, and I know that's hard to find, but he's got the network all set up. He makes it easy for you. He also, get this, the US government, if it's over 100 years old on antique flooring, there is no taxation on that. So, since the floor is well over 100 years old, then we didn't have to pay any import tax. So I was really grateful about that. That's a huge money savings. In addition, a lot of people don't realize, because we've been spoiled, we have a lot of glazed tile today. This tile is not glazed. This antique tile, ceramic tile, in its day was put down and then diligently waxed, and then usually every so often, I don't know, every couple of weeks, it depends on, like, you know, where's the floor at and how much traffic does it get. But they would go in and they would actually strip and wax the floor. And so they had to puff, buff, clean the floor all the time. Now, I don't know about you, but I got better things to do. So what we're gonna do here, Phil sent the tile over here. He steam cleaned it. He cleaned everything off, stripped all the wax off. So it is just like I'm getting brand new tile. So we don't have to do any prep initially for that. We're just mainly focusing on preparing the floor. And you'll see that in this episode. And I'm hoping that the color that I painted my foyer and my west entryway is going to look spectacular with my floor that I picked out that I've been waiting 31 years for. So although this is not a big area, it's a very small entry area, the problem is that I have curved walls. We have to make up an inch to inch and a half float on the floor to make it even with the existing marble floors that were put down about 25 years ago to 30 years ago. And once all of that is done, we have to then fabricate a bullnose for the top of the stairway as a transition. And then around the base of the walls that are curved, we then have to fabricate either granite or marble. We haven't really picked that out yet, but we have to fabricate that to go in those areas. So it takes a highly skilled team to do that. People who have a love of old, instead of, oh, let's do new construction, square, rectangles, that kind of thing. So, although I love watching HGTV and Magnolia Network and home improvement projects, I want to set a new standard on that and say, look, here's something beautiful that you can do with your house. You don't have to rip out the historic walls. You don't have to take out the horsehair plaster, and you don't have to bastardize the history of the immigrants who built that. You can pay honor to that. You can actually embrace that charm and make it very functional, very livable, and in most cases, it doesn't look so damn sterile. I don't need a white kitchen. I don't need all white tile. I don't need that. I need something with color, because color to me is life. And thank God we have lots of color. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy this series. By the way, my guys start at 6 a.m. They've been here since 7, and that's very early. So once they get the floor floated, I can't go downstairs for 24 hours. And so I've had to like rearrange my whole world, but I can't wait till this floor's done and I can share it with you. So today we're going to film, this is my shipment I got from France, and we're going to film a historic event. We're going to put down this antique French tile from France that I got several months ago from an antique flooring company over there that specializes just in antique floors. There's only one other floor with this tile in existence in France, and it's at the Luminary Museum over there. And we're having to modify because our space we're going to put this tile down is different shape. I'm working with floor tiling experts that I've worked with for probably 30 years now, DeMarco. And Clint is here with his team today. Hi, Clint.
Good morning.
And of course, we're all being safe for social distancing and all of that. But we're laying out the border. We're in the garage and we're laying this out first. And why are we doing that? Well, because we only have what's in that one pallet, which I think weighs roughly almost 6,000 pounds if I remember right. It's super heavy. You can see it's super thick. And I will include some more in the video a little bit later on about the tile and where it was produced and all the year information. And also the website for if you've got an antique house or if you just want an old look in a vintage way. I've seen this floor tiling used in unique ways. In a restaurant here in town, they've got actually some of this antique flooring inserted into regular tiles, so it looks like a tile rug. And I think that's really cool. But you can see this pattern here on the outside. As we lay it in, we have to match the flowers, we have to match the leaves. And ultimately, this is what it looks like at the Luminary Museum there in France. But we're gonna take this big border, we're gonna put that up along the wall for our base, and then we are going to move forward here. So as we're laying this out before we take it in the house, we discovered that we really can't use that bigger tile for a border because then we would end up about 14 inches short all the way around on the floor. And you would think that this tile would just be simple, but no, you have to match it up. It's sort of like a puzzle. Things have to be laid in an alternating kind of pattern. And then we found out that our picture over there on the floor is a little different than this tile because these are all handmade and done by artists. They've taken the liberty to put, on our tile, there are actually 2 vines. And in this photo, you can see there's only 1 vine. So that caused a difference too. So we're gonna put it like this. That's how we're gonna do it. So when you're doing a project like this and you have very limited quantity, it's a really good idea to get the guys together and let them work out how they want to lay it, because that way you have the least amount of waste, and I think the result you get is going to be magnificent. So what we decided to do, instead of putting that big border on the wall as a base, DeMarco Brothers specializes in marble, granite, and fabrication. So they're going to just take some of their granite and or marble, whatever we want to put here, and we're going to make a base out of that. That way it'll be cleaner, simpler, and we've got no shortage on the floor, or minimal shortage on the floor.
I wonder if these are the ones that he was saying they gave her extra, because he didn't.
That one's really good. Show her that one.
Okay, so on the back of the tile, this is the French way, the company from France actually, delineated between their tiles and their sizes. So botch, I don't know, Femis, frames, anyway, I'll have to look it up and see what that all means. But I'm really glad that we have the opportunity to work on this floor and save a historic floor, because 90% of all of this in France is going in a dumpster. So it takes a lot of time though to peel this kind of flooring up, to chisel it out, and to take all of the wax off of it from over 150 years and have it in this kind of pristine condition. So we are working hard here, and we'll give you an update shortly. Well, as we step into the house, you can see this entryway here has the subflooring down, some OSB, and then you'll see here we've got some metal mesh down here. They have closed off the stairs and the banister to protect it. And now we're going to be having a couple of areas with where we'll be laying down the new antique tile. So down here, first of all, they had to put down a protectant so that no moisture would come up through the floor, because we're in the lower level here. And so that'll dry very quickly. You'll also see that there's a unfinished edge here. So when they put the tile down, they'll have to put what you call a bullnose. So it just means it'll come out and over to protect this. And then we'll have to have a base around here. So what they're going to do, and then this will lead up into the kitchen. So down here, they have to do this entire little entryway. Then when you go down the steps, you'll see that it butts up against a marble floor. And you'll see that there's quite a height difference down there. It's approximately 2.5 to 3 inches height differential. So what they're doing is they're going to put some underlayment down there. Then they'll put down some thin set concrete, and the floor will be set in concrete. So when we're all done, everything will be one level. It'll all be smooth. And then there will be around the perimeter down there, we'll put a granite or marble base. We're still choosing the color for that right now. And the guys are getting all of this wood cut, and they're coming in here shortly to try to get the wood down and then get everything going. It'll probably take another, I'm estimating, another visit and about another 1.5 to 2 hours to make sure that we've got the design of the tile laid out properly. So Francisco and Roberto
Yeah.
over here behind the pole. He's in an awkward angle. I really can't get at it. But anyway, what they're doing right now is they put down the moisture barrier, and now they're going through, and there's spots that they need to like level out. So what they're doing is they're carefully measuring and making sure, and they've got a laser shooting that to make sure that everything's going to be level and flat so that there's no surprises. And so they're using concrete and they're using tiles to get everything put down so they can have a firm foundation when they do it. So they're hard at work, and this will be setting up overnight. So tomorrow they'll be ready to get at it, and it's going to just be so exciting to see this concrete floor that I've been looking at for 30 years transform into a beautiful French antique tile floor. Welcome to day 3 of our antique French floor installation project here at the Wickham DeVol House, 1878. So the floor is actually older than the house. We believe it's somewhere between 1840 to 1860 time frame. And now we ran into a glitch. We were going to use part of the border for the base that goes around on the vertical on the wall. However, we realized very quickly that that wasn't going to work out. So they brought over this sample today, which I think is quite a good choice because it's very neutral. And this is a limestone. It's the hardest limestone. It comes from Germany, actually, and it's called Jura limestone. And my guys tell me that over in Germany, where this comes from, there's a lot of churches where this has been installed for over 200 years, and there's hardly any wear and tear on it. So most limestone, you know, is that we're used to seeing around here in the Midwest is very flaky, but this is not. This is super industrial. This is on par with hardness of like a marble. So it'll go great along the wall on the as our base. And then because the antique floor is between 1840 to 1860 time frame, this will frame up the floor like a picture frame. And it will bring your eye down into the floor so that you can enjoy all the beautiful lilies and leaves and garden motif that's in that. And there's so much color in that floor. There are pinks, there's beige. This color is actually in the floor. There's actually green, which you can see the walls in here are very, very green. Hunter, kind of a hunter green. And it will go all around the base, the bullnose at the top of the stair, and then the base all around the door where you come in there. And the ceilings in here are about 20 foot tall. And then when we come downstairs, the transition will not be bad at all because we're going to have it against this gray marble, but the marble that we have on the floor here will tie in very nicely with this limestone. When I held it up with the guys today, the stones looked so similar. It was just unbelievable. And the pricing, the hardness, all of that is kind of like in the same zone. So I just thought this would be nice. And you don't notice a lot of veining or a lot of motion with design in this. Again, we don't want to compete with the floor. We want to enhance it, and we want to look like the star that it's going to be. So I'm excited. I can't wait. Now, you'll notice too, on the floor, it's been drying and drying and drying. So I couldn't couldn't have any access to the bottom level of the house last night. Floor one was off because we had to put in, like I said, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of concrete on top of where we are to make sure that the floors are level. So today they came and they hand sanded the concrete to make sure it was absolutely smooth and ready for, you know, the laying down of the tile. But they also had to put a skim coat over the top. So the skim coat is like a sealer, and it took another 4 hours for that to dry today. So to fabricate, that's what you call, you know, you'll see that on here, I don't have a square. I wanted a round edge. So that's called fabrication. So when they're going to go in and fabricate this, they have 2 very large sheets of Jura limestone. They're going to cut it to the appropriate height, which is going to be about 7.5 or 7.75 inches tall. And we've got approximately 50 running feet of this that we're going to have to install. So it'll take another 2 days, unfortunately, to get that fabricated, and then we hit the weekend. So probably we're gonna start the rest of the floor, putting down the exciting part, the beautiful part, the floor tile installation. We'll start that next week. So stay tuned. And I'm so glad David's not here during this. He does not do well with construction. And he would not be happy. So, I mean, when you put in a floor, it's a lot of work. You have to reroute your whole life. So everything, unfortunately, in our house is on the first floor that we use constantly. So it's a little adjustment to have to stay on the 3rd floor. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this series, and just know that when this gets done, it's going to be magnificent. And David will show up at the last, moment when we open up the door and we say, surprise! He'll love it. I know he will. I have been locked away in my office working all day long, very diligently, so I didn't get to talk too much today to the tile guys, but they were working so hard, and I wanted to show you the progress. It is really a learning curve on this floor. It is amazing how the French made this floor to go down just one way. So, for example, the circles, and then the borders, and then how they meet in the corners where the flowers have to match up, and these bigger tiles here, how they have to loop and then keep going into the other one. So the bottom line is, the floor was made in France for a very specific application to go down in a very specific way. And it has just been a challenge getting the thing in here. However, I will say this, the colors are going to be magnificent once we get everything kind of cleaned up and organized here. But you can see how pretty the tile looks, and then with the colors of the walls and the chandelier. My curtains we've got up there. The curtains are out of the way so they don't get dirty, but they're velvet and they're purple. So everything in here would be what you would refer to as a jewel color, a jewel tone. So very rich, deep, beautiful colors that maybe you'd find in a castle or back in a medieval period. But they're also just very kind of cozy, comforting colors. And we come in from the green, which is to represent like outdoors. And then we come into the kitchen, which is a bright, happy yellow. So trying to keep it light, trying to keep it bright. But I gotta tell you, this floor, when it's done, is gonna be amazing. And when we get the sealer on it, the thing is gonna look like it's been there forever. So really excited, can't wait to share more with you tomorrow. And I'm hoping that we'll be done in a week. Today is a very cold, snowy day here in Omaha, Nebraska. And Roberto and Francisco are here, and they're working diligently to make this beautiful French tile floor realize a new purpose and a new life here. And as you can see, Francisco is hard at work here. He's got down the bull nose that they fabricated. He's got all this tile laid in here. We don't have any grout down yet. And now he's working on the main floor. So he's going to have lots of angles to cut. We went through a lot of the concerns today about, did we have enough border? And we had to count physically each tile because they're not making these anymore. But we have these few here that the tile guy found by the same company. Of course, they're a different design, but there were only 6 of them. And of course, probably this was the only floor that he could even try to use them with. So he threw those in as a benefit. So I'm really glad that he did. We're going to use it as an accent piece here as you come off of the stairway. Kind of like a little, you know, like where a lot of people would have a rug. So we'll have a little accent tile there. As you can see, Francisco's right up here by the by the curve. So he'll have to start cutting and angling things. And we only have one little corner left up there. So at the other ends where we have corners, we're going to have to just block cut that. But we do have enough tile to go back to the manhole cover over there, which is our sump pump. And I think we're going to have enough tile to actually do this floor. So that's the plan. And more to come. It's getting more beautiful by the moment. I'm so excited. And I know Francisco is like an artist at work here. So very, very thankful that he's taking the time and the energy to put it down right. Here's Roberto. He's coming in from the cold. As you can see, it's been super cold here. Yesterday it was -1, and you can see it's snowing out. Hey, it's Debra Danielsen, and I'm here for our final little preview of what's been going on my home restoration project. So this is our west entry, and I've been living for the past 30 years without anything down on the floor. So basically it was concrete and OSB. So that's like a plywood almost. So now you can see, voila, we have Dura limestone for the border, or base, if you want to call it a base, that the guys cut and fabricated, put in here. And when I say fabricated, I'm talking about this lip. It's a nice round lip so that you can easily, or somebody can easily dust. Not my thing. Anyway, so got that all the way around, and then we've got all of these tiles in now. We got in underneath the stairs, and it is looking fabulous. The only thing left to do now is put the grout on, and once they put the grout on, we're going to put down a sealer, because this tile was made in around 1830 to 1860 in France. And basically then they waxed it like weekly. It came out of a commercial building, and this is the only floor left like it besides the one in France at the Luminary Museum that they have over there. So what we're going to do is put a clear coat on it. It will stay beautifully shiny. Doesn't have anything on it right now, so it's kind of more of a matte finish. but it will stay beautifully shiny. It won't stain, it won't have any issues. It'll just be beautiful. And after all, isn't that what we want? We just want our space to be beautiful and not have to worry about spending a lot of time keeping it up, taking care of it. You'll also see up here that the landing came out really pretty, and we've still got the stairs all covered up. So when the guys get here, gonna be some more work going on. But the good news is another day and we're all done 100%. So thanks for watching. I hope this was an inspiration to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. And please feel free to subscribe, share with others who may be doing home improvement projects, who don't want the same old HGTV kind of deal. You know, how many walls can you rip out? And how many floors can you just all tear out? And every floor in the house is the same. You know, God, if I had that, I'd be so bored. I'd be out of my mind. I need lots of variation, and I need color, and I need to feel like my house is an expression of who I am. Not that it looks homogeneous to the rest of the world in HGTV. So, I love HGTV. I love how they do things, but you know, they need somebody like me on there to show them how to mix it up a bit. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Share and subscribe if you find this channel great and you like the content. And if there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. Ciao, have a great day. Oh, and by the way, I've done all this while David's out of town, so why? Why did I do that? Because David does not like to be bothered with construction. It just irritates him. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people who can relate to that. They don't like the dust. They don't like, you know, everything moved around in the house, can't find anything. And they don't like the inconvenience of not being able to walk through the house or walk on the floor. You know, it's a big disruption. So, in order to help him feel better, I thought I'll just do this while he's out of town. So, he's coming home as soon as we get this down and done. Boom! So hopefully it'll be something to put a smile on his face, and he'll appreciate the fact that he wasn't here. He didn't have to bother with it, and he didn't have to breathe any of the dust. So, because you know when you cut tile and you do stuff with concrete, there's always dust. Anyway, enjoy. Have a great week. Ciao.